Hello and welcome to Worst Quality Crab, a podcast of Asian American stories and recipes from best quality hearts. I'm your host, Freesia Lee. Joining me as always is my husband and producer, Sam.
Hello.
On this episode, we're very excited for this guest, graphic novelist and teacher, Thien Pham. Hi, Thien.
Woo!
I said it wrong. You told me how to say it and I said it wrong.
You still said it right.
All right.
You said it right. Thien Pham is perfect.
Thien Pham. Okay. Well,
I'm amazed that you said my last name correctly because a lot of times people will say Pham, but it's Pham. Like family. Perfect.
yeah. Well, I mean, that part I was very confident in.
Nice.
We're so happy to have you here. Okay.
I'm stoked.
There's so many entry points to this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But one, I will just say our daughter found your book first.
Okay.
And I was delighted. And also, this is why I'm maybe like a terrible mom, but we were at On Waverly, the AAPI bookstore in Chinatown.
Oh, I love that store.
Right? They're great.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget what we were doing there, but she came up and she was like, Mom, can I get these 2 graphic novels? And one was yours. And before I saw them, I was like, I just bought you a different graphic novel that you read in one day. Like, can we just get these from the library? And I was like, well, On Waverly are my friends. I should support them. And then she showed me the books and it was yours and it said family style. And there's a picture of a bowl of noodles. And I was like, yeah, okay, we could do that. We could do that. I'm sold.
That's awesome. You know, I'm totally happy, so happy to hear you say that because I've always wondered like how many people like read family style because you know it's a book for young adult and middle grade and stuff like that. But I'll often wonder if kids actually want to read. Like, if I was a 4th grader or a 5th grader and you were like, choose a graphic novel, I would never choose the one about the immigrant family, you know, because I'm just like, I want to choose Dog Man or I want to choose like you know, something like I want to choose the sticker book or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I always wondered if like families, because I love Family Style and I know it's a great book. However, I often wonder if it was kids that read it are like, they love it because their librarian made them read it or their teacher made them read it. And so they're like, oh, it's a good book. And like, how often is it that a kid will go into a bookstore, see a book about immigration and like like an immigrant family and say, this is the book for me, you know? So like, I guess there are kids out there. So that's great.
There are kids out there.
I love it.
I will say she maybe didn't pick it up because of immigration, but because bowl of noodles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I chose the perfect image then.
Yeah, you chose the perfect cover.
She's already read all the Dogmans multiple times, too.
Yeah, she's been through Dogman's forwards and backwards. So the answer to your question is both. They will choose both Dogman's and family style.
That's awesome.
But it was funny because she picked the book and, of course, as with almost every graphic novel, she read it in one day or one night and day. And I was like, okay, well, you're going to read these again? And then I looked at it and I was like, oh no, wait, this book is actually perfect for us too.
That's awesome.
It's all about like your chapters are named after foods.
Yeah.
What's not to love?
What isn't?
And I was like, I think this might be relevant for us. And so I went and I looked you up and I was like, oh, I have to find it. I have to, you know. I'm gonna find this guy someday. We're gonna get him on the show.
That's awesome.
It's gonna happen.
When you guys followed me and I just saw Worst Quality Crab is following you, and I just like, usually, you know, I never follow back unless like it's somebody I know, you know, because you can't just go following everybody back. Mm-hmm. And then I just saw Worst Quality Crab and I was like, follow back. I don't know what this is, who it is. It's a magazine, it's a store. I don't care what it is. It's an amazing name. I'm going to follow this person, this back. And that's, yeah. Then I realized you guys were a podcast and that's like, start listening. I'm like, this is amazing. This is exactly what I love.
Yeah. I mean, kind of same, right? I was like, oh, he's following. I was like, oh, we got to do it. I was like, this is the end. So that's how this came to be, listeners. And we are so happy. Let's just talk about all of the food in the book. No, I mean, kind of.
We can do that.
But like, food is very central to your narrative, to your storytelling. Why that as your like narrative device?
Well, you know, I love food. That's my thing. And before I worked on Family Style, one of the very first jobs I had was I was a food reviewer for the East Bay Express in Oakland.
What?
They basically were like, hey, we like your comics. You should pitch us a weekly comic. And I said, hey, how about this you pay me to go eat at restaurants and I'll draw a comic strip about it. And they're like, cool, but we're a poor newspaper. The only thing we can pay for is your food, and that's it. And I was like, that's all I care about. I don't need anything else.
That's amazing.
Just pay
Works
the
for me.
tab. Just pay the tab, and I'll draw the comic. And so for, I would say 4 or 5 years, I did this strip, and it was just called I Like Eating. And we would go to restaurants all over the East Bay, and we would just eat, and I would review. But like when I say review restaurants, I'm not a chef. I don't have any prior education in culinary arts whatsoever. My reviews were basically like, I like this. It was salty and good. Like it was very rudimentary. But
It was the dog man of reviews.
exactly. But I try to weave it into like a story, like about, like stuff like that. And I really loved doing it. It was really fun. And then of course, all those weekly newspapers kind of went out of business. But I met a friend there that went on to become food editor for like SF Weekly and like Eater SF and stuff like that. And so me and him basically have collaborated a lot about food comics, just comics about restaurants and food and stuff like that. But all that kind of aside, the story about my family's immigration, I had been wanting to draw since 2007. And for some reason, every time I would try to do it, it just never worked. It never worked out. And one of the reasons I realized that it never worked out was because there was other books about this Vietnamese diaspora that were really good by my friends. And so I was like, well, they have already done it. Like T-Boy's The Best We Could Do is one of my favorite graphic novels. And she did it so beautifully. And another friend of ours, GB Tran, did one called Vid America that was just amazing. And I was just like, I really don't know how to tell this story in my own voice. And it wasn't until like 2020 when I actually sat down with my parents and talked about how we came to America. My mom had told me this story, and I was so moved by it that I was like, I have to tell this story now. But I still couldn't figure out how to tell it. And then one day my mom, she asked me, she said, okay, I'm done telling you the story. You tell me what you remembered.
Oh.
And so I was only 5 when we came to America. So I didn't really remember a lot. And so I was basically telling her, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that one time when we were on the boat, you gave me that rice ball. And then I remember that time, we came to America and I had the first taste of potato chip. And after I talked to her for a while, I realized that all my memories were like tied to food. Like I remembered everything just through like the Salisbury steak when I started school. And I still remembered like all these memories were so vivid, but only centered around the food part. The food part I remembered. The rest of it, I needed my mom's help for a lot of the memories. So when that clicked, I was like, that's it. And I was just kind of like off and running. And so as soon as the first couple of chapters kind of tied the food in with kind of like a metaphor of what was happening, then I kind of figured out that was like what I was going to try to do, was going to try to take my food memories and kind of tie it into kind of like what was happening at the time. And that was like my voice. And I was able to be like, this is my own diaspora story, like he told her way, GB told it his way, and this is how I am choosing to tell my story now. Yeah. So it was like, it was really fortuitous.
I love that. That's so great. This is why you're perfect for this show.
Yeah. But it's sort of like, I'm the same way in a now life. Like if you asked me like, hey, what did you do last Wednesday? I'll be like, oh yeah, remember we went to that crawfish etouffee place and it was delicious. But then, like I just remember all of it. Like I'll remember the meals first and then everything else that surrounds it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You talked about how other people have told their immigration stories and sort of their family stories in different ways. Before this show, we asked our oldest daughter if she had any questions for you.
Okay. How old is your oldest daughter, by the way?
She's 10.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know if that's the right age for this, but we went with it.
Yeah.
Her one question for you, because she just sort of asked one and then ran off to watch TV or do something. But her one question is, why did you want to write this book?
Well, one of the main reasons I wanted to write this book was back in 2007, I was teaching with another teacher that is a graphic novelist as well. His name happens to be Gene Yang. I don't know if you guys know him.
We've maybe heard of him a
But
time or two.
Him and I, we used to teach together at the same high school, and we would, on off periods, we would sit there and draw our comics together. And one day, I was just kind of telling him about my family's immigration to America, and he was like, "Dude, you have to tell this story. It's the only thing interesting about you." And I was like, "Oh my God." And honestly, it is true because like I've lived a pretty like charmed life, I would say. Like it was when I'm not like rich and or whatever, but I've just like had a really nice life. But the one kind of like thing that is really interesting about me is that I am an immigrant and I came here on a boat with my parents. I always thought that was an interesting story, and always wanted to tell it. But it was like I said in 2020. My family, like a lot of immigrant families, I don't know about yours, but my mom keeps things from us all the time. They never tell you the painful moments. I never understood why. I thought when we were younger, it was to like protect us, to make us not worry. But I always felt like them not telling us made us worry even more. Like they never talked about financial problems with the kids. They never talked about health problems with the kids. Everything that was traumatic, they never talked to us about. And it isn't until now that I wonder if that was also to protect their trauma, like their experience of coming over was so harsh that they never really want to relive it and tell people. So I'm not quite sure why, but they never told me the story. And so when in 2020, when we had the big pandemic and I was spending a lot of times with my parents, I would go to San Jose and I just hang out with them for a lunch. When I finally got to talk to them, the full story is so much more than I ever thought it was, and really knocked me back. Like I did not expect to be so moved by what my mom says. Because my mom, I love my mom, but we don't really talk about serious things that much. And when she told me that, it was just really moving. The sacrifice and all that. And like I've taken my parents for granted for a very long time. And like that time I think I like was just complaining about having to like reset their Wi-Fi or something. And then to hear them like, to say these beautiful things of all this stuff that they did for us, it really, really knocked me back. And that was when I was like, I really need to write this book. This is something that I kind of would like to have forever.
Yeah.
That's truly why. And when I did it, I did not expect it to be a book. I never really knew where the story was going to go. But I would just draw a page every day and put it on Instagram. And just thinking that it was just going to be living on Instagram for a while. And then it was like people started to like it and started to read it and comment and stuff like that. And that was when my publisher asked if I wanted to publish it. And I was like, of course. But like before that, it was just like, it was just going to be a story that lived on Instagram.
That's amazing. Oh man, so many things to ask about there. I really loved, and you actually call this out in the book, or your dad does, but like your mom is the hero.
Yeah.
Like it's so nice to see it from your like kid perspective, right? Like I think it's super interesting. It's such a like, I love the storytelling, right? Like I love the pages that are completely black.
Oh yeah.
Because you couldn't see it's like not a memory that you have fully.
Mm-hmm.
I love that as a device. I love all, the chapters are all foods. And every time there would be like a new point where like, oh no, what's going to happen? And then your mom would come through. And I was like, oh yes.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I wonder if it's more Asian than other specific ethnicities, but like I've always remembered my mom as the boss of the family. She's the matriarch of the family. Like everything went through my mom. My dad basically wouldn't know anything. Like you would like if you asked him, he would like, I don't know. Like my mom knew everything. She was the business lady. She was the person that negotiated she paid the bills. She did, like my mom to my family is everything. And I've noticed that in a lot of my friends' families was very similar way, where everything just goes through the mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were a kid and you would watch TV and you'd be so confused because on TV, all the sitcoms, all the dads are the ones that, and you're like, that's weird. Like my family's completely different. Like in my family, my mom runs the, I've always known that my mom was basically the backbone of our family. I've always known that. Growing up, I've always been like both exasperated and amazed at my mom. Like she just didn't have any fear. It felt like she can do anything, and she was just always straight ahead. Sometimes I wonder how weird it is. Like I am 50 years old right now, and I can barely take care of myself. At like I remember at 26, I had graduated college, barely graduated college, and was living with my mom. And when I was writing this book, I asked my mom how old were they when they came to America, and they were like in their 20s. They were like 22. And like at 26, they had already took a boat to another country, started a whole new life, learned a whole new vocation, learned a whole new language, raised two kids, bought two cars, bought a house. I'm like 26 at that time, and I'm playing video games in my mom's basement. Like it was it's like really blew me away. I'm 50 years old now, and I can't imagine buying a house. And it's just like how they do it. Like they didn't have I was like, how were you able to afford a house? And she was like, we couldn't afford a house, but we did it anyways. I was like, that's crazy. That's the craziest thing that I can ever hear. And I kind of always knew she was like that, but I didn't know to what degree it had like served us. Like without my mom, we would not be anywhere. And it was not a huge shock, but it was a big revelation that like I owed all to this person, this lady, and it's one of those things where it's like there's no way there's no way I can never pay her back, But when I think about it, I try not to think about it often because I'll get too sentimental, but like it's a pretty amazing thing. Yeah, and she taught me everything. Like I love the name Worst Quality Crab because it reminds me so much of all the times that I would go grocery shopping with my mom, when I was a kid. I would tag along when she went to the Vietnamese grocery market, and the way she would talk to the butchers and the people there was amazing. Like I go to a Vietnamese market now and I'm getting the worst quality crab. I'm getting like dead fish that's on the bottom, and like it's because I'm not like my mom. If my mom went to the grocery store, you better bet that she's getting the best fish. She's getting, the best cut of barbecue duck. Like even to this day, when I go to the Vietnamese market, let's say like the other day, I wanted to make crawfish. I had to go to the supermarket with my mom because I had to like ask her to help me pick out the right, if I picked them, they'd be all tiny and dead. And like the way, she made them, I was like, oh yeah, these are the best crawfish. And she always knew, like, I'll be like, hey mom, I want to make blue crabs today. I know the market. Like the market for every single item that and she'll be like, oh, you want ong choy? I know the market. I'm like, okay. So my mom is my whole world. Even now, I think she's all that. Yeah.
That's great. She sounds awesome. There is a through line both with your mom and with a dish in the book related to your mom, Bon Con.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give away the book. I don't know how to ask this question without.
Well, are you ask? I was just talking to somebody about this. I am happy to give it. I don't know if it's giving it away, but I don't know if you're talking about the moment in high school.
I'm talking about all the moments. Like part of it, just like her learning to make it.
Yeah.
Right, that part. And then, yes, the moment in high school, which was honestly one of the most heartbreaking parts of the book.
That's so crazy. Like, I wanted to demonstrate how crazy my mom is through that little story, because that's how my mom is always. Like when we were on the island, my mom decided that she was going to spend the last money we had and buy a food stall because she was worried that we were going to be there a long time. She was right. And we needed money. So she bought a food stall that sold banh cuong, which is something that I love, but she has never made before. And she just learned how to make it. And through perseverance, she ran this successful business. When I came to America, I remember nights where her and my uncle, who had been here a long time, teaching her to do things that like would require a bachelor of science education, but like teaching them through like the most rudimentary ways. Like I have this in my book, but I remember them learning how to use the ATM by just location of buttons. Because they couldn't read like like deposit or whatever. They would just like the deposit button's the green one on the corner. Like they had a map and they were just doing that. And my mom learned how to become a assembler of computer, like motherboards or whatever at home. Like they were just in the living room. They're like, okay, this is how you do it. And then my parents became assemblers in the very first Silicon Valley tech bubble back in the 1980s, right? And then when that kind of popped, my parents decided they were going to buy a business with no skills whatsoever. They decided to buy a French bakery. Like if you're like, Thien, you're gonna own a French bakery now. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know how to make croissants, But my mom, they decided and they run a successful French bakery. And I was like, that is crazy. And then again, after that, they were like, this is business is really tough and we don't want to wake up that early. Our friends are doing video stores. And again, through no knowledge of whatever, it's just like my mom has no knowledge of any of it, but she is just so confident that she jumps into it. And so that's why I wanted to tell the Ben Kung story. And so like in high school, my mom makes really good Ben Kung, but in high school, the scene that you're talking about is so interesting because I never wanted to tell that particular scene because I don't know if you can tell, but the whole book, I'm awesome in the book. And so is my parents. And everybody in the book is awesome. Like there really isn't anybody in the book that is like
no villains.
No villains. And so when my publisher was like, you got to do this chapter of high school, I didn't want to tell it because I was like, this is the only time that I was kind of a villain, a jerk in high school. I remember just feeling so American that like I tell people all the time, like when you come to America, everyone tells you you're not American enough. So you spend your like first half of your life trying to assimilate and be more American. And then you're like in high school and you're very American now. And then everyone's telling you you're not Vietnamese enough. Now you're not Vietnamese enough. And by that time, I have already like kind of rejected my whole Vietnamese side. And it was really embarrassing because I was like, I'm not Vietnamese. I'm American now. I want to be white, and it's just a part of my life that I'm still kind of ashamed of, like I don't like to look back at that moment, like how could I do that? So then when I did the scene where my friends all wanted to get burgers and my mom had made me for dinner this amazing banh cuong and I know it's good. I really want to eat it, but I decide to throw it away and then go eat the hamburgers with my friends. I drew it and, I was like, okay, well, this is the story. But I had no idea that like that was going to be such a moving moment for people. When I do talks, if I talk to young kids like your daughter, they always ask me about the same thing. They always ask me about Tuan, my friend who came over. And if I do it for high school students, they always ask the same thing. They always ask about Linda, the girl I had a crush on, right? They're always like, what happened to Linda? But whenever I talk to adults, they always talk about the scene where I throw away my mom's food. And I think it just resonates with especially a lot of us immigrants because we grew up in a time where everyone was making fun of our food for being smelly or stinky. And we were so ashamed of that we would like hide it. And it's not just Asians. I think Hispanic people have told me the same stories where kids basically would just be ashamed of their culture and their food and how they are, how, their house smelled or how their food looked. And they would do something like throw away their mom's food and how that hit them when they read that part of my book. And I'm happy to report I'm a high school teacher now, and I walk the cafeteria all the time. And these kids don't care anymore, man. They have amazing lunches. Like I saw a kid take out a bento box. Like it was like a 6-layer bento box that had like banchan, like Korean barbecue and japchae and rice. And it was just like, I was like, man, if I brought that to school when I was a kid, I would totally get made fun of. And here they are enjoying probably the best meal I've ever seen in a long time, for lunch. And it's like, that's amazing. And that I love about being around now, like your daughter at 10 years old have probably eaten sushi, which is crazy to me because, like I didn't get to try sushi until I was in college and it was still like weird back then. You know what I mean? It's just kind of mind blowing to me, the awesome experiences the kids now get as opposed to what we had when we were younger.
That scene kind of reminded me of an experience I had in high school where like my friend was Vietnamese and we would go over to his house after school and like play video games, hang out, whatever. And his grandmother would just every single time just like cook like a full Vietnamese meal for him and just like put it out on the table and like he would just not eat it. It would just smell so good. Like it would permeate the house, the apartment. And like my friends and I would just be like, are you going to eat that? Like we would end up eating it.
Oh,
and,
that's
like,
awesome.
Like I never really understood and I unfortunately can't ask him why he didn't eat that because he's no longer with us anymore. But it just reminded me of my own high school experience with that sort of like.
Yeah, I remember taking like the meals that my parents would make for dinner for granted, like a Vietnamese family meal would always have like some type of protein, some type of vegetable dish, some type of soup that you would eat with rice, right? Like that was like every family meal. And you would eat it, whatever. And I never thought that as an adult now, I'm constantly chasing that. Like I'm constantly like, because like all the foods just tasted so good. And now I ask my mom, I'm like, Mom, how did you make that? And then she would tell me, I'm like, that's it. Like it's literally just water, some vegetables, and fish sauce. That was it. That's what tastes so good, And it's crazy. It's like I'm trying now to make these meals that my mom used to make for me, in like 15 minutes because she had to go to work. And these meals are taking me like hours, and like the kitchen is completely torn apart. I've already spent like $80 in groceries. It's like I don't know how they did it. It's such an amazing thing to think about.
How did your mom react to that high school scene?
I think this is a result of doing a book where your parents are awesome. Is that my parents love me now. The relationship I have with my parents is a lot closer now, and I think it might be the fact that like through this we kind of learned a little bit how to communicate. And I think we also learned how to appreciate what both of us do. This is the first time I think she can really appreciate me being a comic book artist. Like I think for a long time she didn't really understand this love for this medium. And I think a lot of it is because she was unable to kind of like read the things that I would draw, because of the language gap and stuff. And I think this is the first time she like really did it and kind of is like, oh, like she can kind of understand like why I love the comics medium and why I choose to tell stories in this way. And I obviously, now that I'm older, definitely see them in a whole different light, especially being older and being a single person that can barely look after myself, thinking about how they were able to look after two kids being so young and going through the same things they were going. I think my mom totally understands what I was going through at the time. She doesn't understand the embarrassment because that's another interesting thing about my mom. She just does not really care what people say about us or them. Ever since they came to America, it was basically survival. They could care less if people like think that they're poor or whatever. They were just gonna do whatever it took to make it. So she saw me in high school. She knew, like she was there with me the whole time. I was having identity crisis and stuff like that. So I don't think she was surprised by it. But it is so different now, though. Like I wonder if she thinks it's funny that it's so different now that like before there was a time that I threw away her food, and now all I want to do is cook like her. And but I think she kind of knows because she's got to know some recipes because I'll be asking her for recipes and she tells me, but like she'd be like, oh yeah, and then put a little 7-Up in there. I'm like, 7-Up? How much? She's just like, oh, a little bit. I'm like, a little bit of 7-Up? What are you talking about? Nobody cooks with 7-Up. She's like, well, if you have Coco Rico, it's better. I'm like, Coco Rico? What is that? She's like, so it's like, I think she's torturing me with her recipes because of all the times I didn't appreciate her cooking.
That's amazing.
Have you guys ever asked your parents for a recipe or something? Like the other day I asked my mom how to make she used to make this braised fish that was really good. It's in the book. And the other day I really had a hankering for it, so I asked her how to make it. I bought all the ingredients and I was like, how do you make it? And she was telling me that she's just like a little bit of sugar, not too much. What? Makes no sense. So yeah, have you ever asked your parents like, and then you're like,
I have. A lot of times it's like, why do you want to make that?
Oh yeah.
Just like, what? Because I want to eat it. But yeah, it takes a lot of pulling teeth to get like the exact amounts. And there's also like, I think it's so muscle memory for my mom in particular that like it takes a while for her to like recall what actually goes in the dish. Like she can just do it, but like telling someone how to do it is like a totally different story.
Yeah, I get a lot of like, don't make it. Just come to my house. I'll make it for you. It's like that's not the point.
Here's a trick that we just learned from someone who is in a similar situation. She will stand by her mom while she's cooking, and then before she like pours it in, she'll be like, hold on, and then she'll measure it, write it down, and then give it back and be like, okay, now you can put it in.
My mom would be so mad.
I know. I was thinking about it. I was like, it must take forever, but it is, it's a viable way. Like I've thought about the same things too with not my parents' recipes or my mom's recipes, but like grandparents or just like other people where I'm like, you gave me a list of ingredients and 0 measurements, and this is baking, so like this really isn't going to work. But yeah, I think it's like okay, can I see you do it? And at least I know when you say 1 spoon, what spoon you're talking about. Teaspoon, soup spoon, big like, yeah.
It's the same when you go Asian grocery shopping now. It's always a mess. Because you're always like, okay, this sort of looks like the sauce that she had, but is it? And there's like the whole rack is just like this sauce, and it's all 3 different brands. And like, I think she uses the one with the 3 ladies on it, or is it the one with the 3 crabs, or is it like it's never like the name of the thing. It's always like, use the one with the cow on it. I'm like, the cow on it, and
God forbid they change their packaging too.
Yeah, totally. Like, what if they changed their logo? And there was been time where like I've asked the grocery store people, and they are no help either, man. They are no help either. Our generation is growing up, and one day, like I've already been in restaurants that have been owned by the same family for years, and now their kids have graduated college and have kind of taken over and is now like the social media manager. The food is still cooked by the mom or the aunt, but at least the menu now is written by the kid that just graduated college. So I can kind of understand what's in the food, So one day we'll go into a Asian supermarket, and somebody has correctly labeled everything for us immigrant kids who like have lost a little bit of our language.
I think that there are delivery services for that.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think that there are a couple where it's like, oh, you can't find this at your Asian grocery store, or there isn't an Asian grocery store near you. You can get it online. And I was like, but actually, you could also just read it in English and see pictures real close. Yeah. That's helpful too. So it sounds like your mom is still cooking for you a lot.
Yeah, she is.
Did she ever branch out from Vietnamese food?
That's another interesting thing. I remember as a kid having versions of food that she would make. Like she made spaghetti all the time. And it was always from the Lowry seasoning. For a while, she was a waitress at a diner, and they just served all different types of foods. So she kind of learned a bunch of different foods, but they're all kind of like from seasoning packets, right? So you could make spaghetti sauce with the Lowry seasoning packet and tomato sauce. But my mom's food always tasted better. And I remember one time I said, Mom, what is it that you put into your spaghetti that made it taste so good, so much better than I've ever had anywhere? And she said, fish sauce. And I was like, what? She said, fish sauce. I was like, you can't add fish sauce in spaghetti, Mom. That's not how it works. And she said, you can, and it's delicious. And I realized that that's kind of the thing. Like I remember my mom used to make us tacos, but only the things that she sees. So it's like Lowry seasoning tacos, the shells, all that stuff. And it tastes delicious because she would add fish sauce in it. And we loved it. And so now I do it and it's delicious. But my dad was more of the person that would branch out because my dad really loved cooking shows. And I remember one time my mom was working and my dad was like, we're going to the grocery store. And he took us all to the grocery store and he bought all these ingredients and he came home and he's like, I just saw this on TV. I'm going to cook you this great dish. And I was like, what is it called? And he's like, it's called grilled chicken Monterey. He was very excited about this. Grilled chicken Monterey. I was like, what is this dish, Dad? But I don't know if this is true, but it turned out it's just like a grilled chicken breast with like a piece of cheese on it and served with mashed potatoes or whatever. And I was like, you're so excited about this, Dad. And he's like, oh, so good. It's so good. So my dad was always the one that really wanted to be more Americanized and wanted to branch out in food wise. I remember when the Sizzler came to our house, our neighborhood, and man, that guy would not stop talking about the Sizzler. Do you remember the Sizzler? He would just be like, look at this salad bar.
Yes.
Look at all the things you can get. And I was like, okay, Dad. He was really into Sizzler.
Listen, I forgot about Sizzler entirely until this moment, but Sizzler was a thing.
There's still 2 Sizzlers in the Bay Area around where we're from.
What?
Yeah, and one of my friends was like, who loves Sizzler? And I was like, who? It was like Filipino people. I'm like, really? And we went to the Sizzlers and it was all Filipino. And I was like, that's neat. That's neat to see how this one culture has adopted the Sizzler,
The one that we went to was like real close to Daly City.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Coma.
the one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Coma.
Yeah.
I was just there next to the Coma Target.
It's still there?
Still there.
What?
Still full of like all Filipino people. Yeah.
That was my childhood Sizzler. I didn't know it was still there. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sam, have you ever been?
To a Sizzler? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It used to be like the celebration meal, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like if it was a celebration, you were able to get maybe the steak and shrimp or something, My friend Gene, who lives in San Jose, he has 3 kids, and he told me the spot for family is like salad bars. There was what was it called? There was a salad bar called
Soup Plantation?
Something like that. We have
sweet tomatoes.
Yeah, there's a version here. Yeah, I think it's sweet tomatoes. But he was like, that's where you take your family because they can have whatever they want. It's one price. They're just running around getting the pizza. They're probably loading up on pizza, but it doesn't matter. That's the best place. So I can see why my dad would love this Sizzler place. Yeah.
Was there a thing with garlic bread at Sizzler?
Yes, they have really good garlic bread.
Yeah, right? I was like, this isn't a thing I made up, right? Like Red Lobster has biscuits and Sizzler had garlic bread.
Yeah.
Because I remember always just being like, okay, and then we get garlic bread? Great. Okay, growing up with the mom that you did who cooked everything and was obviously amazing and could teach herself anything, like how does that translate for you into an adult in terms of like cooking and eating when you're not with her?
Well, it's kind of a problem, and it's not about the cooking. So my parents were, for most of my life, they owned businesses. And so, I started off as a shop kid, meaning I'm like that little kid that would be doing their homework in the corner, watching TV. as you're getting your croissants. There's that little kid. So I grew up as that. But then as soon as I was old enough to like kind of watch the store, they would like, hey, come by the croissant shop after school. And I would come by the croissant shop and they would be like, okay, later. And basically I would watch the store until we closed. And so I did that from probably junior high when I was able to ride my bike to the store all the way till probably like sophomore year in college. Like I would watch the store for them all the time. That was like my job. So I basically developed a habit of being able to eat whatever I wanted for dinner anytime I needed. So like when you're watching the store, you're like, oh, I got to get myself dinner. I can get it from anywhere. Like I want pizza today, I'm going to get pizza. If I wanted burgers, I'll get burgers. If I want Mexican food, I'll get Mexican food. So as an adult, I have this thing where I have to eat whatever I want to eat at whatever moment. So like just now I was like, for lunch, I was like, I really want a crawfish etouffee. And so that's what I got. And so when I was married, that was harder. And it was really hard to adjust to. I know this sounds like really trivial, but that was one of the hardest part of marriage that I can tell you is I'll be like, hey, I'm feeling like I really want pizza. And my wife would be like, I kind of rather have something else. And I'll be like, okay. But inside it was killing me. Inside was killing me. I remember one time I was over at my brother's house. My brother has 3 kids and wife and stuff like that. And on the fridge, they had a calendar. And the calendar was like Tuesday, August 15th, beef stew. And I said, what if by that date you didn't want beef stew? And he's like, well, we're eating beef stew. And I'm just like, that's crazy. Like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. What if you didn't want to eat beef stew at that moment, That's crazy. So I still have that problem. And so that means that like I don't eat a lot of leftovers. If I like wanted fried chicken and I had leftovers, I'm not gonna want fried chicken next tomorrow. So I'm not eating that. That's just gonna go to waste. You know what I mean? Like the only leftovers I'll eat is like cold pizza because I love cold pizza for breakfast. But other than that, it's like it really becomes sort of the problem. Like last night, I had a craving for, I know this is going to be weird, but Chilean sea bass, right? And so basically, starting at 7 o'clock, I just drove around to like 4 different markets to find a Chilean sea bass so that I can make it at home. I didn't eat till like 9:30 last night because I finally found one at like a Whole Foods another town away. And so I made it and it was delicious, but like I was eating at like 10 at night. So it has become a little bit of a problem. But other than that, like, I'm an okay cook, so I can like basically make the things I need to make. But I'm also just one person, so it's easy to get takeout for myself, And it's also easy because I also a lot of times I love fast food. So a lot of times, like I have a craving for McDonald's and that's not so hard. That's not so hard to get,
Nice.
So.
What does your mom think of that eating style?
Well, my dad and used to have the same kind of thing, but now they're older. All the things that I've witnessed my parents as they're getting older, the things I've been sad about is that they don't have the voraciousness of eating that they used to have. Like my dad used to love food the way I love food, and he still does. There's still a lot of like dishes that every time I call him up, I'm like, do you want like hutiu jiao? And he's like, of course I do. And it's like this noodle dish that we've always eaten together and that we both love together. And anytime I see him, I'm like, do you want this? And he's like, yes. And so we'll go out and get it. Or like he loves sushi and stuff like that. But like they're also fine with just eating whatever, and that's what they got in the older age. Whereas when my dad was younger, he was very similar to me. And, they also ran the store. So they had a very similar lifestyle as well, like, they would eat takeout from the restaurants around the stores and stuff like that. So they also had like the same situation. So we were all kind of in the same boat.
This is great. This has been so great talking to you. I feel like we kind of didn't talk enough about the book.
That's
so people should go read it.
Yeah.
Where can people find the book?
You can buy the book anywhere. You can get them at your local bookstore. So that's what I would recommend. I would recommend getting it at a local bookstore that's your favorite, or a local comic book store that's your favorite. And if it isn't there, they can definitely order it for you. If you have to, it's also online. It's also at most libraries and stuff like that. So it's kind of everywhere. It's not hard to grab that book. It's called Family Style. It's by Pham, and it's my publisher is called First Second Comics.
It's great, really.
Thank you so much.
It's great for adults. It's great for kids. My daughter read it. Then I read it, and I was like, Penny, I love this book. And then I think she started reading it again.
Oh.
And so we could like talk about it. And honestly, I think what is so beautiful about this as a parent and as someone who this isn't my lived experience, I actually didn't grow up with knowing that much about this, right? Like I was a kid at the same time you were a kid. And so I, didn't learn it in school because it was kind of still happening. And so now that, it's been some time and we're having these conversations and it's sort of coming more into, I think, more mainstream consciousness, this is actually such a perfect vehicle to have conversations with kids about these types of experiences, about what it kind of means for other kids to be immigrants, or in our current state, if they hear the word refugee, like, what does that mean? I think these are such perfect places, these types of graphic novels, to point to and say, like, let's have a conversation starting from here.
I remember when this book came out, and I was kind of worried about reviews and stuff like that. And my editor, his name is Alex Liu, he was like, hey, Thien, all the reviews are good and bad and whatever, but nothing gonna compare to when somebody comes up and tells you how this has helped them reflect on their life. And I was like, that's just a bunch of things that editors say. And then as soon as someone came up and was like, this really helped me to understand my parents' journey. And because of this book, I've talked to my parents about it. As soon as someone said that to me, I was like, that's it. That's all I need. Like, I don't need anything else. That is the greatest part of publishing this book of all times. It's just people coming up and saying and sharing their stories and sharing their parents' stories, or talking about how they always wondered how their parents or grandparents came here, and that this book helped them. And that is the best thing I could possibly imagine. And it's one of the things that made me realize how stupid I was, because I remember thinking, well, we have 2 Vietnamese diaspora story. We don't need any more. And now I think,
surely there can't be a third experience.
And now I'm just like, I need to hear everybody's diaspora story. I don't care how close it is to mine. I don't care how close it is to someone else. Everybody's story and the way they process is so different and amazing. I just want to hear them all. And I would encourage any immigrants, refugees to like really tell their story. I think that's the greatest. I'm not a professional, like a super professional graphic novelist, because I'll have a day job. I'm a teacher. So graphic novels for me, like, kind of, maybe there might be a chance I never, really do another graphic novel, write another graphic novel myself. But even if that's the case, the fact that this book is out and that I have this piece of art that's going to stay on this earth forever is like everything to me. The fact that people can read my story, my family story, and think about, their own experiences and stuff like that is everything to me. And that's the best part about this book. So
that's really incredible.
Yeah.
Well, we are so glad that you told the story. We're so glad that you came and talked with us about it. We're so glad that you talked about food. And that was real fun.
That's all I want.
Thien, again, thank you so much for being here.
This has been fun.
This was
great.
so fun. Your book is great. Listeners, go out and get Family Style. There is no recipe this week, but in honor of Thien, I think what you should do is go eat whatever calls to you.
Yes.
Whatever you're craving, go eat it.
And I'm on Instagram at Thiendog, ThienDog, at Instagram. That's the best place to follow me. And if you get the book and you would like, you can DM me on Instagram and I'll send you a book plate. I'll sign it and personalize it. And I'll send you it's like a little sticker that you can stick in your book.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, ThienDog.
Amazing. Listeners, if you want to find us, you can find us at worstqualitycrab.com. You can find us on Instagram at worstqualitycrab, or you can email us at worstqualitycrabpod@gmail.com. And until next time, everybody go read Family Style, and we'll talk to everybody later. Thank you and bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're talking to the king. I love Costco more than anything. I don't know if you know that.
Okay.
I love it more, and I'm a single man. I'm a single man that cannot buy. I cannot buy anything like at Costco. The only thing I got a whole Costco membership just to buy one thing, and it is steaks. I think I think Costco has the best steaks, and now I'm obsessed. My brother is a huge Costco fan too, and he lives in San Jose, where it's the land of Costco's because there's so many of them. We literally went to like 4 Costco's within like 5 minutes of each other, and their Costco's seem to be like geared towards them. So we don't get the selection that the people in the South Bay do. Like there's a Costco that has more Vietnamese stuff, and then there's a Costco that has more, like just like a Ranch 99. Like there's a Ranch 99 that has more Filipino stuff. There's a Ranch 99 that has more Chinese stuff.
Okay. New idea.
Yeah.
It's Costco tours.
Yes. I'm there.
We'll workshop this, but there's something here. It's like a Costco Asian tour and
Shuttle bus.
Shuttle bus. Yeah, shuttle bus.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
You get
That's
big
so awesome.
bags.
Yeah.
Right. And the bus seats 20, but only 5 people can go because you have this room for stuff.
Yeah. It's like, get your armor on. We're fighting for eggs.
Yeah. Oh.